with our last lab. So we're going to work on Lab 4 Advanced Linking today. And the goal is to code those email links, anchor links, and absolute links that we talked about in the pages earlier in Canvas. So I've already started working with our Lab 4 Advanced Linking code on the linking tutorials page that hopefully you've already watched. But you can start by downloading this root folder and unzipping it, and then opening the index page in Visual Studio Code. So this already kind of has some stuff that we walked through in the initial tutorial video, but well, we're just going to continue it. So this is what it looks like so far. If you followed along with the tutorial video, you'll see we already have the 120 link and the 150 link in there. So we're going to continue that and add the rest of the stuff that we need for this lab. So feel free to follow along. The first thing that I'm going to do is add the email link. That's part 1. So under the H1, so you can see what the final is going to look like, we want a little line that says, for more information about any of these courses, email us, and then we're going to make a mail to link. Now I'm going to just add mine in. You can do mine or you can do yours, that's fine. But we're going to do that under the initial title H1. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, take a look. We've got our H1 right here, and then this is where I'm going to go ahead and add my P tag, information about any of our courses, email us, and that. And you can also just copy and paste this text in there if you don't want to type it in. The other thing I do want to show you is if you right click and you hit format document, it will also kind of help make sure that you don't have like super long lines of code. So if your code is like going all the way and you have to like scroll sideways to see it, right click and hit format document and it'll break that up for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my link in. So remember, we want to make a link around email us. That's a mail to link. So we want email us to be clickable. I'm going to surround it with the opening and closing A tags. And then inside that opening A tag, we're going to do that href, mail to, and then the email address. And then that's all there is to it. There it is. All right. Step 2, the anchor links. So this is where I was already showing you, but you're going to create anchor links on the titles, all of these that jump to the corresponding ones down the page. And then at the bottom of the page, we're going to add a back to top button. We'll do that after we add these. So let's go ahead and add these last 3. So the first one we want to add is for DMED 101. So let's find DMED 101. Here it is, that H3. And I'm going to go ahead and add that A tag, and then inside that I'm going to do name equals 101, and this creates an anchor. And then now we can go back up here, and we're set. We want to go ahead and make DMED 101 clickable, so we'll surround it with A tags, and then we will say href equals and then hashtag 101. Perfect. Alright, now we just need to do that for 110 and 145. So if you want, you could go ahead and add all of our anchor points first. So we need one for, what did we say, 110 and 145. So I'm going to find 110. And here it is, right above it. I'm going to add that A. And then name it. I'm just going to name it 110. So now we have an anchor point. And then I'm also going to do that for 145. And I'm actually just going to copy and paste. So I'm going to go down to 145 because we need to set an anchor point there too. And make sure you change the name if you copy and paste. So we're going to name that one 145. And again, it doesn't matter what you name it as long as you remember what to reference when you're linking to it at the top. Alright. So let's get down to 110 is what we're looking for here. And I'm just putting these on separate lines so that it's easier for us to see it in this code. You don't have to. And then href equals 110. And then I'm going to do the same thing for 145. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to slow down the video, or pause, rewind, etc. Alright. Now all of our links should be working. As you can see, this is how it should function. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you really wanted to go through, you could add like page breaks or non-breaking spaces in between each of these to give them a little more space. So that would look like in between here, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a non-breaking space. Oh, that did not work. I must have typed that wrong. There we go. So now we have a little paragraph in between there, or a little space in between the paragraphs. I'm just going to copy and paste that in between all of these, but right above each of the anchor points. And again, you don't have to do this. This is just an extra thing if you want to. Yay, now we have some space in between. Perfect. Okay. So now we want to go ahead and add that back to top button at the bottom of the page. So let's start by creating the code for the text that's going to display. So we want to make sure that we're still in our body, but we're going to create a new paragraph that says back to top. Alright. And again, I might add a non-breaking space, so that's just creating essentially an empty paragraph to push that down. There we go. And then I want to make that into the button, so we're going to surround it with A tags. But what do we link it to? There's no anchor point yet, right? So we need to make an anchor point. So let's go all the way to the top of our page, and we want to do this in the body still, but above our H1. And here's where I'm going to say A, name equals top. And again, you can name it whatever you want, as long as you remember what you named it. Then all the way down here, we're going to do that href equals hashtag top. Now, if I click on it, you can see it takes me all the way back to the top of my page. Alright, so then the last thing that you're going to do, the last part is the absolute links section. So for this, we're actually going to save our changes and close out of this index because we're going to be making a new page. So I want you to create a new file in Visual Studio Code, and let's save it in our root folder as linking, and remember you have to name it .html for it to become an HTML file. And then make sure to add in the essential code. So I gave you a list of that, but let's go ahead and do that now. So HTML, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my head. And inside the head, we're going to add the title. And see how they can all be on the same line if you want. And I'm going to name this linking. Or you can name it whatever you want, doesn't matter. And then, body. Alright, so now we want to create a heading on the page that reads links, and let's make this an H1. So H1, then we want it to say links. Check. Add horizontal rule below that. And I'm just using tab to tab it in. You don't have to, it's just for visual, whatever makes it easiest for you to read it. And then we're going to create 3 links inside separate p tags so they appear on separate lines. So we can start by going ahead and creating those blank paragraphs. Blank paragraph opening and closing tags. And then the text for the first one is going to say song. The next one's going to say television. And the next one's going to say other. Okay. Okay, so then we want to link to a favorite song on YouTube or SoundCloud, whatever. Link to a favorite TV show or movie you like on IMDb, or other. Link to anything else you want as long as it's school appropriate. So let's create those absolute links. So first, just want to find a song that you like. I don't know, man. Find one of her songs. Alright. So you can do this on YouTube. And then I'm just gonna copy. You can also go up here and copy the URL. And then in here, we're gonna go sorry, not in the P tag. We want to create an A tag because we're creating links. So let's create those links inside our paragraph. And then href equals, and then we just paste that URL in. Okay? Let's see what that looks like. I'm gonna open up linking. It looks like this. My song. So right now it's not opening up in a new window, it's replacing, so I have to hit the back arrow to come back. I actually want to open this up in a new window, so that's why I said here to make sure that you use target blank attribute in here so that it opens a new window. So let's go back here. So what you want to do is inside that A tag, you want to go target equals, and then this is a separate attribute, just like href was. And then inside that, you're going to do that underscore blank. Now, if we open that up, oh, we forgot to refresh. You can see it opens up in a new tab. Alright, so let's do this with television. And right now, I am watching Psych, so we'll do that. Go to the IMDb page for that. Copy the URL. And then back to Visual Studio Code. We're going to go ahead and add that link. So a link surrounding television, so television is clickable. And then href equals, paste in our URL. And then we also want to add target, and then underscore blank. Perfect. And then let's find a cute page about bats for my other, okay? So I'm going to copy this one and go to other, same thing. Go ahead and add my href in, and then target. And that's what that page should look like. Alright, that's all that you need to do for this lab. Once you're happy with everything, make sure you save everything, close everything out before you zip up your folder, and then upload the zip here.